This is the second part of the Jimmy Hoffa story. And if you got a YouTube channel, you're going to have haters, people who like you, people who dislike you, people who believe what you put on YouTube, people who don't believe what you put on YouTube. But this story that's on here, and my whole channel is nothing but the truth. We don't put out no tall tale content, none of that. We don't do that. We always keep it real on Detroit's darkest times. But anyways, I was just speaking on, some folks is going to be with Michael Yarborough and they're going to, believe his story and everything like that. Then you're going to have some haters that's going to comment on, just to be commenting. They ain't got a clue what they're talking about or a clue of the story, to be honest with you. But anyways, and this is part of my story because this all twines into my life story, to be honest with you. But anyways, getting back to the story at hand. So Michael Yarborough is still working on getting people on board because he wants to do a concrete scan in the Renaissance Center and things of that nature to, prove what he's talking about. And they done been in there many a times. They actually did some type of scan, and they already found a yellow hard hat in the concrete. They ain't got it out yet, but they that concrete scan done located that. So he's got the forensic guy that's over the John Benet Ramsey case that did the forensics on that. He's got him on board that's willing to do the forensics again on the 1975 Mercury Marquise, maroon in color. And then, the authorities say that they had the dog sniff. Now, I heard this somewhere. Don't quote me on this little part right here. But the authorities said they had the dog sniff the car and all that, or they did DNA in the car years back when they actually retrieved the car. And they found Jimmy Hoffa's DNA in the car. But not in the trunk or something like that. And so people, that debunks the people saying that they brought Jimmy Hoffa to the Renaissance Center in the trunk. That was a crock. That ain't, a lot of people had a shit ton of stories to say about Jimmy Hoffa's disappearance over the years, and I've been keeping up with it. And you got different people, speaking on the Jimmy Hoffa things, and they just, I won't say they don't have a clue about Jimmy Hoffa's disappearance, because they may know a little bit about it, but all the stories they're giving is false. You know what I mean? And you also got one guy that's made a career out of doing Jimmy Hoffa's disappearance story and trying to find Jimmy Hoffa. And I do believe, now I heard this, so don't quote me on it, but you could probably look it up on the internet if it's true or not. But I heard that James P. Hoffa funded this guy at the beginning, basically just, paying him to try to find out as much as he can and information, all that. But then at a certain point, he just cut his funding off, because this cat basically what he's doing is he maybe meant well at the beginning, but then he was just trying to ride this horse as far as he could ride it. and collect as much money as he possibly can. And still doing it today, but not from James P. Hoffa, from other folks. But this guy is a real joke to me. But anyways, he just got story after story after story, and stuff like that. And he says, he gets information from, ex-mobsters, and, these are people that's, did time in jail or told on other mobsters or something like that. So and then the other people that spoke on it, directing people, different places. Like they put them in a barrel and they shipped them off, and they put them in an incinerator and got rid of them that way. They buried them at a field, and just a whole bunch of things keeping you away from the Renaissance Center over the years. You know what I mean? And it's just a real crock of shit, to be honest with you. So, and that guy I'm specifically talking about, I don't know him from a can of paint, but the thing is, I've just seen him as interviews and stuff like that, and the people that he gets with him on interviews and stuff like that, it's just it's a circus, to be honest with you. But and all this cat's gonna say once they recover the body at the Renaissance Center, all he's gonna say is, "I was wrong." And I got false information from people and stuff like that. That's all he can say, Which really, at this day and time, he needs to give it up on the Jimmy Hoffa story, because this cat is just, kind of like a reporter, if you will, because, reporters, that's their job to tell a story, but then it's also their job to keep the story alive as long as they possibly can. You know what I mean? So, and that's what this cat is basically doing, And I guess eventually James P. Hoffa seen that, this guy was just full of shit, and quit funding him. You know what I mean? And it's just, and I don't knock people for trying to report, and things like that. But the thing is, if at least in your report, say, this information I've heard from this mobster, or whatever the case may be, wherever you heard it from, just say at the beginning of your video that this may not be true. The way he's conducting himself is everything he's talking about is the truth. And it's horseshit. So he needs to take a seat somewhere, or try a different avenue and not on the Jimmy Hoffa situation. But anyways, I get cooked up when people do that, when the truth's definitely out right now, and we just got to get the people to go check on it. And that's a task in itself. But I will say that in a little bit, I got some more good information for y'all on the Jimmy Hoffa disappearance. But back to Michael Yarborough. This cat is not telling a story. He's only giving y'all the truth of what he's seen and he heard. And he's basically just trying to report a murder that he's had eyewitness to that seen take place. You know, so the ball's rolling. It's been rolling for a long time, and people just getting kind of ill about it because the thing is, people just hesitating to go check on the situation. You know, and people just don't understand that situation. But now, this day and time, in 2026, a lot of people's familiar with all the, corruption going on and the money stealing from the taxpayers and just all this bullshit that's out there. So a lot of people's aware of this situation. And you got good people out there that's trying to do the right thing. Then you got a ton of people out there that's doing the wrong thing as far as trying to get this taken care of. So here at Detroit's Darkest Times, we just want the authorities to go check this situation out. Now, they're supposed to do a $1.6 billion transformation on the Renaissance Center. And they're going to take out the Tower 400 and the Tower 300. It's not clear how they're going to take these two towers out. These are 39-story towers. It's not clear yet on how they're going to take it down. Normally they would blow it up and let it just drop straight down. And they may do that. I'm not discarding that, but there are talks about, taking it down from the top to the bottom and without the explosions and stuff. So it's kind of in the air right now. It's definitely the Tower 300, Tower 400 is coming down, but it's in the air about how they're going to take it down. But whatever it is, however they do it, we definitely, at Detroit's Darkest Times, we definitely are asking the court system, whoever's listening, preferably a judge that's probably got the power to do so, is put some kind of freeze on this $1.6 billion development just until the correct people go in there and check this place out with a fine-tooth comb and make sure there's no bodies buried in this building. Now, there are words that it could be more than one body in the building. So it's just something to think about, and I don't see what it would hurt to check in and check this situation out. You know what I mean? Because in today's time, if somebody reports a murder and say, hey, I seen it, I seen the guys bury this person and all that, you're going to be right on top of it. So I don't understand. Michael Yarborough don't understand. A lot of people don't understand what's taking so long. And we really don't want you demolishing anything at the Renaissance Center until you send the right people to the place, go through it with a fine-tooth comb, make sure that you know what's what. You know what I mean? But once you do that, you're gonna find it's gonna be a big surprise. It's gonna be headline news for a period of time. So we're really hoping this takes place. And we got some good information for you all. That the feds are actually working on this as we speak. So Michael Yarborough, your audience, my audience, if y'all all listening, they're working on this as we speak. The way I look at it, I just call it they're taking baby steps. You know what I mean? And the reason I'm saying that is because they're going through everything that they got from day one where the FBI took over. They're going through everything they got, and they're not going to leave a rock unturned. They're going through it, and this is ordered by the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump. So, that being said, I really feel a lot better about the situation. But I'm really going to feel better about the situation once we see the activity take place. And I don't know if they would let the public know about it or if they just shut them two towers down when they, getting close to the development. If they just shut them down and they just go in there privately and, check the situation out. I don't know how they'll make that approach, but just in the public view and to assure the public, I really feel like the court system should do a court order on a search on the property of the Renaissance Center, before they actually demolish these two towers or take them down or whatever the case may be. And over the years, there's even another dude that backs Michael Yarborough's story up, which is Jimmy Hoffa's old driver. And this is a Canadian cat from Canada. And he does an interview. And he says, here's the story that he says in his interview. You can look it up too if you like. People who ain't familiar with it. Now, his interview, he says that him, some other mobsters, Tony Giacalone, was at the Omni Hotel having a meeting for several days. The last day they're there, they decided to go into the Renaissance Center to eat breakfast. Excuse me. So as they cross to the Renaissance Center, Tony Giacalone tells them, says, say good morning to Jimmy Hoffa, boys. So that's how Jimmy Hoffa's old driver knew about the situation. And I don't really think he told the authorities right off top when he first heard it. I think it was years later when he finally did this interview. But the thing is, Michael Yarborough is if I'm not mistaken, Michael Yarborough is the first one in 2002 that went to the authorities and told his story about Jimmy Hoffa. You know, and the way Michael Yarborough put a name and a face to all the people that he encountered, that he seen, and the guy that came up to him and all that, and the way he knew it was Jimmy Hoffa is on the news when they showed him the picture of him. And he said, yeah, that's the guy they threw in the hole. You know, he's telling his family that. But the way he put a picture, a face, and a name to the other people was he went to the library and he was looking at a book that somebody had wrote, and it had the mobsters in it, their names and everything like that. I forget who wrote the book, but he was looking at that. So there was actually pictures in the book. So then when he was flicking through the book, then he sees the guy that was driving the 1975 Mercury Marquise, which was I think it was a stepson of Jimmy Hoffa. If not a stepson of Jimmy Hoffa, it was, somebody that he had took in and stuff like that. But anyways, and he turned on him. But the thing is, he sees the picture of him, so he knows who he is. The guy that came up to him that told him, you better get out of here, you're going to be next. He's seen the picture of him, he knows who that guy is, and he knew the other guys too, and but he did not know the jackhammer guy and the concrete cement truck driver guy. But as years passed, Michael Yarborough, this is his own words, he says that he meets up with the cement truck driver's son. Now, I don't know if Michael Yarborough did the research on the cement truck driver's son, if it was really his son, or if this guy just wanted to be a part of the story or whatever. I can't really back that part, but I'm just telling you what Michael Yarborough said. Michael Yarborough says he meets up with this guy that was the son of the cement truck driver. Then he says the son of the cement truck driver tells him that they killed my dad because they didn't want the information to get out. So when he told him that, it's not clear if he told Michael Yarborough when they killed his dad, the cement truck driver. I mean, my question is, did they kill him the same day, or did they kill him later on, or whatever? But there's talk out there that they might have. It's for sure they threw Jimmy Hoffa in the hole because it was seen by eyewitness. But there's talk out there that they might have threw the jackhammer guy in the hole and possibly the cement truck driver. I'm not for sure about the cement truck driver because I don't know when he passed, And but that's just talk out there about the jackhammer guy and the cement truck driver. That's not being validated, but it's just talk out there. But as far as Jimmy Hoffa being there, Michael Yarborough's an eyewitness that actually seen it. You know what I mean? And what it actually happened is they broke both his arms, both his legs, threw him in the hole. So this way he couldn't crawl out or nothing. And they just poured the cement on top of him. So basically they just buried him alive. And that's basically what happened. And over the years, they have did facelifts on the Renaissance Center and all that, but hopefully they didn't do anything with the specific place where Michael Yarborough says Jimmy Hoffa's at, except for maybe new tile or something like that. Hopefully that was the only thing that took place there. But, you know, anything's possible at this point. But the main goal is to get the right people to go in there and just search and check the situation out that you got an eyewitness to that actually says he's seen what happened. You know what I mean? Are you with me on it? Hit the like if you're with me on this situation. So, anybody with authority, like I said, they are working on it and stuff like that. But to me, it feels like they're just taking baby steps and stuff like that. But, you know, nobody can control the government. They're going to do what they want to do and how they want to do it. And that's just the bottom line. But hopefully we get to lay this story to rest. But we're going to stay on top of the story until the body's retrieved. So if it hurts your feelings, don't check this channel out. If you're interested, stay with us, grow with us, and be a part of Detroit's darkest times. And we'll give a shout out to Michael Yarborough. We're shouting out ourselves, Detroit's Darkest Times on YouTube. We're going to shout out Michael Franzese. We're going to shout out Uncle Mike. I call him Mike, but a lot of people call him Uncle Mike. And let's see who else we can shout out. Miss Pleasant. Big Gene Deal Show. Shout him out. Girl Bye. Shout them out. Just to say a few people that we're shouting out. But we appreciate everybody. And the way we're going to leave you today is we want you to treat people how you want to be treated. One thing for sure, we definitely want you to hear this. So listen up. If the authorities pull you over and tell you to do something, you best do it. And the only reason we're saying that, because we want you to be around for your next birthday. So anytime the authorities tell you to do something, just comply. Whether you're being arrested, or whether you're being detained, or whether you're being just questioned, don't give them a hard time, because they got a job to do, and they're going to do it with your cooperation or without your cooperation. You know what I'm saying? So here at Detroit's Darkest Times, we just want to put it out there that don't act a fool, man. And if the police are trying to pull you over, don't take off and try to outrun them. That's not going to happen. You're going to get caught, or you're going to get in a bad accident, or you're going to actually hurt some other people. So the best thing to do, even if you're dirty, you know what I mean? Be a man about it. Pull over. Deal with it. Because if you're in the game, whatever, you got to be a man about it 24/7. You can't be a man about it until the authorities get on you and then curl up like a baby and be scared and stuff like that. No, don't do that. You know what I mean? So basically, when authorities approach you or whatever, just do the right thing because we want you to have another birthday. You understand? It's not that hard to figure out. You know what I mean? So basically, do the right thing. If you have to go to jail, if you have to make bond, if, whatever the case may be, do the right thing because that's the way it's supposed to go. Laws are in place for a certain reason. So just do the right thing. And another thing is be honest about your situation. And, don't, this to my YouTubers out there, any of the YouTubers stuff, make sure if you're putting content out, if you're not for sure about it, make it clear that you're not for sure about it, but hey, this is, whatever. Also, do your research, things like that. That would help you because you're going to grow and you're going to have a solid audience if you just keep it real, keep it 100, be honest with people, tell it like it is, and you're going to have haters, stuff like that. It's all part of YouTube, all part of the channel. It's just everybody's welcome. You know what I mean? But a lot of people say on their channel, if you got something negative to say, just don't even be on their channel. Don't even watch it. So, that being said, but really we just want y'all to understand that when authorities approach you, you have to comply, And over the years, I could never understand why people would take off and be in a high-speed chase and or jump out the car, take off running. Because they usually get hurt, get roughed up, or whatever the case might be, possibly shot, whatever, It's just crazy, man. So just don't put yourself through that. If you get pulled over, see what they want. A lot of times they might pull you over just because your tail light's out. So don't just assume the worst and just take off in a car real fast and now you're on a high-speed chase and stuff like that. It just don't make no sense. So just keep this in mind, man, because it's really important that if the authorities approach you in any way, shape, or form, just comply and see what they want. Because there's many times